you know, when you look at our profile, you'll see that for 20 years, we have been doing more giving than receiving. And our diaspora, those students that have come through our studio are all over the world doing so many wonderful things. And I'm sure you'll even recognize some of them once we start talking about who they are. But beyond that, we know that dance is a healing art and is an art form that ought to be offered in a way that it is not. And that's part of our mission, is to do that, to fill that gap.
Hello, everyone. I'll just broad stroke the project, then I'll turn it over to Wayne. You saw Wayne Thomas from Gensler. We purchased this building in 2017, and it took us approximately till July of this year to raise all the money, pull all the permits that would allow us to build and around. The building process will take, from now, we're scheduled to complete the building in September of 2021. Just to say that we do apologize for not introducing ourselves to the community, but we had a lot of things planned. And just like everyone else, we got hit with COVID. And that was a point where I never thought this whole thing would come to fruition. But I'm thankful to all our partners, the banks, the city, and Gensler, and everyone that helped us, because they insisted that we close, even because no one knew what the situation would be post-COVID. We're still in the middle of it right now. So most people pushed us to close. We had parties planned for the community. And as you know, with that, we couldn't conjugate, we couldn't have people. No one knew what this thing was going to be. But I'm very happy that they all insisted that we close the deal, and we did do that, and we are in the process of building. With that being said, I'll let Wayne do a presentation about the actual construction, and then we'll just answer any questions you guys might have. I think Wayne would be able to answer all the questions you have, Laura, regarding whether it's historical site, all the different things. He changed the address to the building, which was probably one of the problems, because there were 3 separate properties on Washington Avenue. But when we were trying to get things delivered, there was always a problem. There was problems with the permits. So we eventually changed the address to Manhattan Place. So that's why you probably had problems pulling up information about the actual construction regarding what we did, permits and all the different things we're doing. Now it's officially done before so we can just get delivered. So I will speak on, I think one of your concerns, why didn't we have, you know, windows down on the floor? And I was in Debbie, we were the biggest, not have a place where we have hundreds of little girls and little boys dressed in tights. We did not want people to be able to watch and look in and see them during their classes. If people wanted to see the kids, they were always welcome to come into the building. But for me as a father, my daughter went through there, all of my parents, we didn't think that up and down, you know, watch on the street, could look into the dance studios and just see these kids in tights and doing what they do as dancers. I'm sure most of you understand what I'm talking about. So Wayne, I'll turn it over to you. Just go to the nation that emailed out to you guys. Allow to do so.
Okay.
I think Wayne is, okay, you got it, Wayne?
Yes, I've got it. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Nixon and Miss Allen, for that introduction. If I can be allowed to share my screen, and I'll start the presentation. Just give me a minute here.
Oh, hold up, Wayne.
Sure.
One thing before you start, I forgot to really introduce Wayne. Wayne is our architect from Gensler. Gensler is one of the largest architectural firms in the world, building projects around the world. Wayne was one of the architects on the new stadium that we just built there. Gensler was big in that. There are projects all over this city, and like I said, over the world. So Wayne is the lead architect on this project. So, okay, Wayne.
Okay, thank you.
And Wayne, I think you can just share your screen by doing the share screen function at the bottom.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going mute because, as some of you know, I still have to go catch a little cat
Sure. Just give me 1 minute here. Sorry. I have the exhibits up. Okay. Okay. I'm assuming everyone can see my screen. Yes. Excellent. Okay. So I'll walk you through this really quickly. It's the Debbie Allen Dance Academy. So just to share with everybody, so the current site for the Debbie Allen Dance Academy is located at the at the Baldwin Hills Mall area, as you can see here in this exhibit. And we'll be relocating approximately 3.5 miles to its new location, which is as what was already shared on Washington Boulevard, just half a block west of Western Avenue. And as you can see here from this illustration, both sites are basically promised zone adjacent areas, which is actually really important initiative that both Mr. Nixon and Ms. Allen was important in terms of their location efforts. Just wanted to note that. The other thing with regard to the site as well is the site is located within a CPI-owned zone area, and it's located within it's not located within a historic overlay zone. But the existing building, which is where it's currently located, was built in 1921 and had a number of various uses. It was formerly an automobile shop. It was a lighting store. It was a store used for construction equipment, sales, and a number of different uses. So there are actually currently 7 different ZA cases specifically within this area that actually has the intent of promoting more retail and commercial use specifically along Washington Boulevard and eliminate the number of automobile shops that are actually located along this area. And just a couple of things to kind of note is that there are right now currently 12 different culture and arts institutions along Washington Boulevard. As you all are aware, especially noted institutions such as the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, which is another project I previously worked on, as well as the Underground Museum. So we think there's a tremendous opportunity for the redevelopment efforts, which have been spawned by a number of city ordinances from the city of LA, specifically within this area. A couple of other things to note about the site as well is the current building, the existing building is about approximately 15,000 square feet, and it's an unreinforced masonry building built in 1921. And we're adding basically 9,000 square feet onto the second floor of this existing building, and with the intent of preserving some of the existing unreinforced masonry walls. And for those of you, if I apologize if you're already aware of this, but just to kind of share some general information about historic masonry walls. By today's code standards, unreinforced masonry walls are actually considered a hazard, and you can't even build walls of this nature anymore today. And then formerly back in 1988, there was a city initiative called Division 88 to retrofit some of those existing walls, because by its nature, unreinforced masonry walls are exactly as I described it. You can almost imagine stacks of brick on top of wet sand. So you can imagine during a seismic movement, when an earthquake occurs, the bricks are basically going to crumble and move. So by today's standards, that's strongly considered a hazard. So we're dealing with a very unique situation here with this existing building by preserving some of the inherent natural characteristics, but also being mindful of some of the risk and dangers related to that wall. So with that, I'll move on to the next slide. So one of the things that's also really important, as both Mr. Nixon and Ms. Allen shared, is, really important about data as an institution and its community connection and impact. And, the founding principles for data is really based on its belief, as what was previously shared, is that arts education defines discipline, creativity, and self-confidence, right? And these are principles that really empower people and individuals, and specifically young people, where they decide to pursue a career in the performing arts or not. But, I'm, if anything, I feel like I'm kind of a byproduct of arts education, formerly being a musician and learning how to play the trumpet and French horn. So as you can see this on this exhibit here, this is just a small little snapshot of a number of programs that data offers, such as scholarships, programs, lectures, and demonstrations calligraphy arts, free dance, joy and subsidizing school performances and various activities. So just moving forward here to the overall concept of the building, as I mentioned, it was an existing building built in 1921. And one of the important things with dance and arts education is providing sufficient amount of natural light, and that was really important. And obviously one of the amazing, unique challenges when dealing with an unreinforced masonry building, which has an inherent hazardous condition to it, is how do you provide a much natural light through a masonry wall where you can actually not actually have any openings within it. So conceptually, in collaboration with Mr. Nixon and Ms. Allen, the idea was to provide a floating illuminated glass box on top that would basically act as a clear story while providing internally within the building enough height for dance and for performing arts workshops, be it aerial, and providing sufficient height clearances, but also providing as much natural daylight into the space. The other thing that was also really important, as you can see here from this illustration, conceptually, is there's also an opportunity for this building as an arts educational institution is to also serve as a beacon for the neighborhood area as well, architecturally. And the other thing with the glass, we're incorporating the use of insulated glass units, which also serve as energy efficiency in terms of energy calculations and reducing the demand load on mechanical units with the incorporation of solar panels on the roof. And it's also an insulated element as well from an acoustic standpoint, where inherently within the arts institution, there will be amplified music and sound as part of the educational process. And the glass element in itself also is insulated by diffusing any of that sound from not penetrating the exterior of the building, while also providing natural daylight into the spaces. So these were all really important elements, and making sure that we absolutely comply with the city ordinance, noise ordinance. And we've worked, tirelessly with a number of specialty engineers and consultants that performed a number of acoustic studies and sound studies to make sure everything is compliance, which the city, as a byproduct, already issued a building permit in confirming that the building as designed has been in compliance. Move on to the next slide here. So here, from a flexibility standpoint, as you can see, the footprint of the building is relatively simple. The building has been designed to work within the existing footprint of the former existing building while preserving select existing brick and masonry walls as a retrofit and adaptive reuse conditions. So the basic, function, day-to-day operations for the academy would be 5 dance studios, 2 out of the 5 dance studios, there would be 1 large studio, 2 medium-sized studios, and 2 small studios, along with additional amenity spaces such as restrooms for the public, a restroom and locker rooms for boys and girls, a staff locker room, as well as a lounge and a lobby area for visitors, office spaces, classrooms, and etc. This kind of moving across here, as you can see from these different flexibility modes, just the day-to-day operations for just dance classes and workshops. Then we also have the opportunity of incorporating a performance mode where a portion of the space can actually be dedicated for, a special lecture or performance or anything of that sort. And then last but least, there's also the opportunity, because of the flexibility of the spaces, to also have an outreach mode where a number of the walls basically operate more like a guillotine, where they actually disappear, and allows a lot of these spaces to be one contiguous space for community. It can serve as a community room for outreach, fundraising events, and open to the public programs. So that's all been incorporated into these different functionalities and flexibilities within this building and spaces. Here's an exterior view of the building, kind of showing you the overall massing, the integration of lighting, especially, as I mentioned, this clear story along the 2nd floor that provides an insulated glass unit. And again, it allows natural light to come into the space, and it also prevents amplified music and sound from inside of the building to remain inside of the building and not penetrate through the exterior, which is a requirement from the city of LA. And then it's kind of reminiscing some of the original aspects of the original building. Had these punched openings, much like what we were able to incorporate along the new facade, which can serve as code compliant lighting just for safety at nighttime, and can also serve as an opportunity for displays of upcoming events as well. Here's an image of the main lobby. As Mr. Nixon has shared, the main entrance is right off of South Manhattan Place. So the main entrance is just located here, and it'll be again right off you come off the main entrance. There are 2 existing brick walls which will be remain, and 1 large brick wall as part of the original building to be preserved and seismically retrofitted and preserved and supported from the backside. So the lobby area again is accessible to the public, you know, for lounges, just kind of visiting the facility and learning more about the dance academy. Moving on here to this next image is a view of the studio. As I mentioned earlier, the large studio has the ability to serve as a miniature performance space, which has retractable bleachers, but also serving for like lectures, speaking engagements or arrangements, as well as a rehearsal space. So this is just one image kind of illustrating the potential of flexibility of that space. Moving on here, as I shared, the institution in itself has a lot of flexibility, while a lot of the walls can be removed and be transformed for a multitude number of uses. And this is just one illustration that shows how when all of the walls are removed temporarily, it creates one large contiguous space, whether it can be served for a large performance, a large rehearsal or arts workshop, or a community event. And as Mr. Nixon has shared, with the incorporation of glass within the interior of the building instead of on the street level, we incorporated that within the interior of the building that allows visitors to actually observe a workshop or seminar or classes from the inside of the building. And here's just another view of a similar situation. This is just a much smaller studio. And again, you can see where we're able to incorporate applying application of this insulated glass unit with natural daylight into the space. And then also an opportunity for people to observe classes without interrupting the courses or workshops. And this is just a little snapshot of what it could be like when you're backstage during a performance mode. And here's a shot or an image showing the second floor, which mainly consists of classrooms, staff offices, an art gallery, and dedicated areas for lounge, and also dedicated areas for students who work on homework while they're at the academy. And then on the backside, there's also a number of additional workshop spaces for education, such as a production workshop studio, a costume and wardrobe workshop space, as well as a control booth for performing arts education and workshops, and a sound and booth as well. And here we have a multi-purpose room, which is also located on the second floor. And again, it kind of speaks to exactly what it's been identified as multi-purpose. So the intent is to use flexible furniture in here for an array of events, whether it's for students working on homework or community meeting or a community event, or just serving as an additional classroom for the academy. And last but least, this is just one image kind of showing during the daytime when you have the glass on top, providing natural daylight into the space. And that's what I have. If there are any other questions, since it's almost 7 o'clock.
At this point, if you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand and I'll recognize you.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. I don't see any blue hands yet. Does anybody have? Okay, well, I'm raising my hand. I have a question. This is Laura. I'm starting my video again, so officially raising my hand. I looked at the building and safety application, and there's some reference to parking that's off-site. I was just trying to figure out where the parking is.
So the off-site parking will be dedicated at an off-site location, which is a church about 2 blocks away, and that distance is still within the 750 feet travel distance for off-site parking.
So it's not the church that you sort of back up to Caddy Corner that's on Western that has a big parking lot? That's what I was sort of thinking.
It's more towards the west. So we're still working on some of the details related with, the terms of the agreement. But yes, that's already been reconciled and noted with the building department.
Okay. I see Dorit has her hand up.
The community space, would you be willing to allow United Neighborhood Council to have community meetings in that space?
Post-COVID?
Well, yeah,
Yes.
post-COVID, and certainly we have a building that we hope we will be able to network with the community. We look forward to that. You know, internal to our classes, I'm sure that we'd be able to schedule some meetings for you right there in our building. It'd be nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? We have 2 more minutes technically. If anyone has comments or questions. Wow.
This is Paula Southern. I just want to say thank you very much for remaining in the neighborhood and considering this community. We love you.
Thank you so much, Miss Paula.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Norman Debbie.
Hey, hey.
Hi.
Yeah, it's Tori.
Are you driving too?
No, I'm stationary, but I haven't gotten out of the car yet. But I'm glad that building looks fantastic. It's going to change the dynamic of that entire corner.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful. You guys are going to enjoy it. You guys are
Yeah,
going
I know. I can't wait.
to expect to see you in classes now.
Well, now, I have done, that's past tense.
Okay, this is the thing. You can only have a meeting there if you guys have class. That's going to be the criteria to get you have to take a class. That's going to be the criteria to do your meetings there. Whoever asked the question.
I'm
Okay,
down for that.
Norm, does that mean once a year, right?
No, we're trying to keep you around. We need you to take more than one a year now.
Hey, that'd be a good thing. We can get exercise and learn from Debbie. That'll work. Okay, that'll be great. I can't wait. What's the anticipated completion date?
September of 21.
All right, my birthday month. Woo-hoo, we can have an event there. It was good to see you guys. It's good to see you guys again.
Thank you.
Mr. Nixon and Miss Allen, I haven't had the pleasure to meet with either of you, but I would like to say thank you for bringing this dream and vision to the neighborhood. I think it's going to be truly amazing, especially with all these amazing times that we're living in now. I think it's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
You are
Yes.
so welcome. We're so grateful to be coming. We really are grateful. We are so excited.
And we'll introduce it to you guys in a better way. Like I say, COVID stopped all the activity. We wanted to have a reception there before we even started. And, everybody's world got turned upside down. So we'll introduce it the right way.
Jeff, did you have a further question? Or Jeff Camp?
No, that was just, I made my comment. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And do we have any other board members or residents, members of our community who have any questions or comments? I see we keep having more and more people join our meeting today. Okay, so thank you so very much. You're surely welcome to stay and lurk and learn more about our organization. But I do need to call our
Jeff
meeting.
knows that I got to go to, I'm sorry, but Jeff knows I got to go to work and watch the game.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to say we need to call our official meeting to order now.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Thank
And
you.
thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
I always feel so rude when I cut people off, but sometimes I guess we have to do that. So, hi everybody. Welcome to United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. And my name is Laura Myers, and I'm reintroducing myself. And it is time to call our meeting to order and to approve our agenda. I'm letting Marielle in from the waiting room. Jeff, I have this to share on the screen. I should have this. I had it open before. Hang on a sec. Okay. Can everyone see the screen? And we have a multiple page agenda. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda, or if anything should be tabled. I don't think so. We
move to
cannot
approve the
add.
Sorry, it's Raheem, Laura. For the community, for the committee updates, I'm wondering if it'd be possible to add just a couple more minutes to the communications committee update.
Yeah. So luckily, what I have on other committee reports, 2 minutes each, if feasible. So I know you emailed me to say it's not feasible for communications. It's only feasible to give you a lot more time than that. Is that correct? Well, I don't think I need to change.
Literally, we'll keep it under 5 minutes.
Okay, but I don't think we need to change the agenda for that. Because I don't know if we have a lot of other committee reports anyway. Anyway, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move. This is Paula Southern.
Second, Lizzie.
I said Paula moved and I didn't hear the second.
Lizzie second.
Lizzie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And in this, I'm gonna stop the share. I still don't know how to do polling, even though I added it to the Zoom. So we don't need to do a roll call on approving the agenda. So Jeff, I am gonna ask you to count blue hands raised. So everybody who's in favor of approving the agenda, please just raise your hand with the blue hand. And once again, I am going to first count this. Okay, I'm sorry, Tori, Greg, I don't see raised hands. Tori, Greg, are you in favor of approving the agenda? Asai, Janie, Isaac, Paula. All right, why don't you take the blue hands down? Any opposition to approving the agenda? You can say I oppose out loud if you want. And there is no opposition. Okay, the agenda is approved. The first item of the agenda is just a quick discussion of meeting protocols. We've been discussing this at length at executive committee, and we have many protocols that were set forth by Dunn. We have protocols set forth in our own standing rules and bylaws, mostly the standing rules. Greg has shared some information about other organizations or his vision for how this should go. But I think the key thing is to remember that in our standing rules, we have set up where you should only get to speak for whether it be 1 minute or 2 minutes, that'd be the time on the agenda, but you speak your time and then everybody else has a chance to speak. And then if there's still time left, you can speak again. Our meetings have been going to 11:30, and what we're trying to do is not have that happen. Greg, I know you have some other concerns if you want to share. I'm just trying to limit this discussion so that the discussion itself doesn't make our meeting go past 11.
Good evening, everyone. I just remind everyone that we should review our standing rules and just have that in mind. As Laura said, the minute of speaking or 2 minutes is set on the agenda, that when we present a topic, that we present that topic according to the standing rule for 5 minutes, and then that is followed by 5 minutes of questions. If we just follow our standing rules, then we will be fine. That's my recap.
Right. And so aside, maybe we'll be saying your time is up, or I may be saying your time is up. And please don't think it's personal to you. I mean, in other words, we're just trying to move the meeting along. And part of my assessment of all of this is that we all want everybody else to speak shorter amount of time, but then we want to speak longer ourselves personally, myself most included. So we're going to all try not to do that. And so our host is me, and chair is me. Jeff Camp is the co-host. Between he and I will be calling on people. Gabby will be taking the minutes. We haven't passed the torch yet on the BAC, so I will be calling that role in the for our motions, because we still need to work on that. And Asai is going to be telling you your time is up, but he's not going to be mean, and he's not going to do it all the time. Okay, we're going to just try this. Item next is public comments, 1 minute per person. And again, I'm going to mute myself and off my video because I'm still seeking the cat who's having a really great time playing all over this house, but I'm trying to catch him. So Jeff, if you'll watch the blue hands, and I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd be happy to. Greg, you have your hand raised.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to remind everyone to vote. Vote early, vote by mail if at all possible. Vote, remind your friends to vote. Remind everyone on your social media to vote. Vote, vote, vote. That's it. Have a good day.
Nancy, your hand is raised. Please go ahead.
Laura, just one comment on the 1 minute per speaker. Can they get like a 20-second warning or something? Can someone just type on the chat like 20 seconds left if they're on video?
That's what either I or Asai will try to do.
Right. I'm back. Anybody else have public comments? Oh, okay. And you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So if there are no other public comments, we're looking at Council District 10 report. Grace, I'm sorry, were you trying to raise your hand?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so let me remind everybody that to get to the raise hand function, I forgot I should have mentioned this. If you put your cursor down at the bottom of the black screen and then click on participants, once you do that, you not only can see everybody who's in the Zoom room, but you also will get a function that is that will have a blue hand, and that is how you raise your hand. So we'll try this again. Grace, hello.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you, everyone. As you know, my name is Grace Yu, and I'm a candidate for LA City Council District 10. I am a resident of UNNC, actually literally next door to the affordable housing and senior homeless housing that's being built on Washington and Wilton. I live in the Blue House, and I am excited about the last 2 months of this race where we get to bring in change. And my biggest issues are affordable housing and homelessness. And for the second one is infrastructure, just, you know, making sure our roads and maintenance is good and that we are proactive about it, and transparency and accountability in government. That would stop all of the, not all of the corruption, but we'll be able to put a dent in the corruption and the arrests of some of our elected officials and the lobbyists is a good start. And as you know, this FBI investigation is still ongoing, and there are more heads that will roll. And I'm looking forward to going in with a clean slate to work for the people of this district. And I hope you'll all join us for the town hall that will be held on September 19th, Saturday at 12, that UNNC members all know. So thank you. I just want to say hi.
Hi, Grace.
Okay, is there any other public, Donna?
Yeah, speaking of the last 2 months, we're going to West Adams Avenue start our meetings for the year next Wednesday. So I will definitely reach out to everyone. It's important that people know how to check and find out if they are truly registered to vote.
Yes.
We're finding out that they are not. So Vote LA is a great place to go to. Tell your neighbors, friends, yourself, go look, because funny things are being done to try to change. So that's something that I'll be pushing in my community as well as pushing it everywhere. So please tell everybody, go to Vote LA, find out what your status is, and find out what the Democratic Party is recommending. It's a great idea and it's important. So thank you. Talk to you later.
Lizzie.
Yes, hi. Good evening, everyone. Just a reminder to please let all stakeholders know that the time to file this year's census is coming up. So please, everyone, let's be counted, because funds for healthcare, schools, housing, and so forth are dependent on how many of us are here in the communities. And our communities numbers are not looking good. So please, everybody, complete the census, please. Thank you.
Gabby.
Thank you, Laura. I actually had a very similar announcement that that Donna had, which was to vote. And the place where you can go do that online very easily is at lavote.net. And you can simply input your information and you should be able to access. If you have recently moved or if your signature has changed over time, you also need to re-register to vote. And thank you, Grace, for visiting us.
Okay, so is that right? lavote.net?
That's correct. That's the website, the county website, where you can register.
I have placed that into the chat for everyone's reference.
Yeah, I just did. You can do it again. Okay. And so again, if you don't know what we're talking about with the chat, at the bottom of your black screen, you can click on chat and bring it up. We don't have private chat at a public meeting. What we use the chat for would be like this, to post something that is of interest to everybody. But more importantly, when we do our motions, we will be putting the motions in chat. And then at the end of the meeting, everybody can save the chat. If you have the chat function up, what you'll see in chat is on the right-hand side at the bottom, 3 little dots. And those 3 little dots, if you scroll over those, one of the options you get is save chat. Don't do it yet, because we've obviously got a whole meeting to go. But there we go. Okay, so both Jeff and I posted lavote.net. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, hearing none, nobody waving frantically. Let's move on to this Council District 10 report, please.
That would be me. Hello, everybody. And I really was trying to do video tonight, but I got back from a food distribution too late, and I am just a sweaty mess. So I'll try to be real quick on all these items. The speed bump lottery is coming up, and that happens next Wednesday on the 16th at 8 a.m. For those in your communities that are interested, go, I'll post the link in the chat. Go and make sure you meet the requirements to even request the speed bumps. And if you do, be ready and at your computer logged in at 8 a.m. because it's a lottery. And basically there are only 30 bumps allowed for each council district. And they, trust me, from history, they go fast. So Lizzie, thank you. I noticed you've been putting that out in your community as well.
Jeff, do you happen to know if somebody wants bumps on a block, is it one bump or do they always give them a couple? Meaning, does the 30 get chewed up that fast?
The 30 get chewed up that fast, but it's a stretch. When I say 30 bumps, it's not 30 bumps, it's 30 installations. So they keep it limited. I know that a lot of people north of the freeway is south of the freeway hit 6th Avenue and got a lot of speed bumps. But historically, literally, it'll be 9 o'clock or 9:30 and it's already closed. There are many neighborhoods in our communities that are already in different phases of the process, but this is your opportunity to get into phase 1 of the process if you've not already done so. So I'll put that link in the chat as soon as I'm done here. Laura, small request to you. I need to have an item put on your next P&Z committee agenda, and that's to have bollards installed at 24th and 25th Street at Arlington on the west side. And I can send you more information. And then finally, guys, this is my 5-minute last cry. I have been so proud to not only work with this neighborhood council for 9.5 years, half of that time as president, and the last 3, almost 4 years as your CD10 representative. Our time is coming to an end. And I want you all to know that I have truly appreciated working with each and every one of you, all of your neighborhoods, all of you in the community. UNNC has always been the heart of CD10, and I will always keep you and that feeling close in my heart. So thank you very much, guys.
Okay, Jeff, are you planning to die? Because I don't think we're going to let you go.
No, I get to come back as an angry stakeholder.
Exactly. or maybe our unpaid but hired moderator, right?
Yeah, could be, yes. But
yes.
I just want you to know that you and your communities have filled my life with joy, sometimes frustrations, but even more joy because we got over those battles, we found solutions, and we made our neighborhoods better. Thank you for giving me that opportunity, and thank you for letting me work with you for just a few more months.
Thank you for your service, Jeff.
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for everything, Jeff. And happy you're going to stick around.
Jeff's the man. Man.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, and are you guys going to start congratulating all of us? We're on time so far. Is a report from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment and or other government officials, city departments and or agencies. Thomas Song is here, and I'm guessing you have stuff to tell us. Is that right?
Good evening, board. This is Tom Soon from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Adriana couldn't make it tonight, so I'm subbing in. But just wow, I have no idea where Mr. Jeff Kapp is leaving to. But I just remember I'll be really fast. But I remember when my first meeting with UNNC was a swearing in when Jeff became the president of the board. So this is like 4 or 5 years ago. So Jeff, I don't know where you're going. We got to talk. But congratulations. Thank you, I guess. Okay, with that being said, Bart, a couple quick updates I want to bring to your attention. It has a lot to do with the bylaws, upcoming the elections, which you have on your agenda already. Long story short, the elections for the the upcoming 2021 election season, it will be looking at the budgeting with the lack of. The city clerk is doing a proposal to have the elections all via vote by mail. Now, you should have received the email from me for our meeting next week to meet up with the city clerk and our department to have a South Los Angeles elections feedback session to talk about, to learn more about the nuances regarding the vote by mail process. And I'll spare you the details, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's, if you can't attend that meeting, that would be great. We did have a first liaisons meeting with the homeless liaisons. I just want to thank Tori Bailey for showing up and providing some ideas on reaching the unhoused. So that we're gathering the feedback, we're taking the feedback and coming up with some marketing and outreach strategies with limited funding. Two new, in the council file, as a city council, they passed two new ordinances. One was regarding the definition of stakeholder. Another one is regarding the age to vote for and the age to run and vote for the upcoming elections. Currently in your bylaws, your eligibility to run and eligibility to vote is 14. But because of the new city council ordinance, the new voting age is 18 and the new eligibility to vote is 16. So then there's an optional of a youth rep seat, which your board does not have, and there's not going to be time to implement that. So just keep those. So those are some of the updates, and then we'll be working to help you guys administratively to make some changes to the bylaws. And I do want to just acknowledge and just want to thank Mr. Greg Jackson for attending our new board orientation. We realized that as new board members join the system in between the election season, it's a good idea to do orientation with the new board members, and then it's always good. And the veteran, like Mr. Jackson, attended as well, and that was great. So those are some of the quick updates, and please do be on the lookout for our monthly profile, and then which has a little more details about some upcoming events. But I think the priority right now is that for the election, it's coming up in less than a year, and this year they're changing the election from to be consistent with the regions. The elections will be in May of this year versus June. Okay. So for more details, try to attend a feedback session next Wednesday, and then definitely we'll keep you in the loop. And I think the city clerk has an election administrator that's assigned to your council, and will be reaching out to you and also attending your meetings in upcoming months as well. So thank you.
Okay, are there any questions from, raise your hand, raise your little blue hand if you have any questions for Thomas. Gabby.
Hi, Thomas. Do we know the name of our election administrator already?
Let me find out for you. Let me send the board that information. Okay, let me get that list for you, and then I think I could get to you by tomorrow. Is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Thank you.
Perfect.
Right, and just for everybody, and we'll get circle back to this when we hit committees. The clerk and Dunn will be wanting to work with our elections committee, and we don't yet have an elections committee. So we'll talk about this on a brief basis later in this meeting, and probably schedule it to executive committee to figure out how to set up an elections committee for this year. Hugo.
Hi, Thomas. Since I can't message you here, I just wanted to ask, what's the easiest way to contact you? If it's through cell phone or email? I don't know what you prefer.
Yeah, let me give you my.
I'm gonna post it, Thomas.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty.
His email is his first name dot
That's right there.
his last name at lacity.org.
Yes.
And
you got it.
And you all probably are getting, well, let's just verify this. I hope every single person is getting emails from Thomas and other people at Dunn. Thomas, you did tell me earlier today that our roster is now updated.
It should be. I think we have. I think Gabby, you're on there now. I think the.
I am. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Good. All right. Anybody else have questions, comments? Are there any other government officials, city departments, and/or agencies here in the room who have any sort of report to give us? I think not. Okay. You'll notice on the agenda, we did the agenda just a little bit differently than usual, and maybe this is a good idea. We put in a lot of the motions right there on the agenda. So we're moving now to planning and zoning. And I know Michael Pauls is here, and I'm going to rename. And I'm hoping I did this right. Michael, can you unmute yourself and verify that who I just called Michael is Michael? Are you able to unmute yourself, or do I need to do it for you? Well, I'm gonna, Okay, and Robbie, I see that you're here. So essentially, this item for planning and zoning is case number ZA 2019. I'll back up a second. ZA means zoning administrator 2019-7284 CU, that's conditional use permit. SPP is a specific plan, I believe. It's the gas station located at 4370, several addresses, 4372 and 4380 West Adams Boulevard on the corner of Crenshaw. Basically, the land use request is to maintain the existing 24-hour gasoline station, replace and then continue the operation of the 24-hour convenience store, and add a new automatic car wash. I'm going to share the screen. I don't know if we are going to get Michael's voice on this meeting or not. And Jeff, you might try chatting with him and see if that would work, because I have the screen. But the Planning and Zoning Committee, which met with the applicant, both the architect, the land use side of it, and the owner who's present tonight, we do recommend approval to the governing board with the following recommendations: to use native plants as feasible, upgrade the facade of the new building to being more in keeping with our historical architecture, and to continue the current community engagement, including the current practice of hiring from the direct local community. So that's our recommendation. And the reason we're hearing the case because it's time to hear the case, but they also have a public hearing scheduled for next Thursday, a week from today, September 10 at 9 a.m. And the information for how to participate in that public hearing is also printed on the agenda. So is Michael unmuted yet? Jeff, are you unmuted? I'm sharing the screen.
Michael has been unmuted.
Yeah, I no longer can see anything. I'm looking at the screen share. Sorry.
Michael needs to unmute himself, but I've unmuted him several times.
Right, and I did too. So, so that being said, Robbie, if you could unmute yourself, because maybe that's going to be our only option here. But we only have 5 minutes total, and I just took a few of those in the presentation. Sorry. Robbie, do you not? Well, make him. Jeff, can you unmute Robbie?
I have tried as well.
Okay.
Can he star six? Star six.
Hear me?
I'm hearing somebody now.
Can you hear me?
That's Robbie.
Yeah.
Hi, Robbie.
Hello. How are you?
Fine. So again, if you if you'll just take a couple minutes, and I mean like 2, and just tell us what your project is. I mean, we can see on the screen the convenience store is to be a 7-Eleven. And just for those who were at the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting previously, we had requested to upgrade the facade. What we're looking at now is a Art Deco streamlined modern version. It's not the same version we had seen at planning and zoning.
Can
And,
you, we can't
and
really,
Robbie, go ahead.
I can't see the picture. It says Google. I don't know if anyone else can see it.
Okay, Robbie, if you could go ahead and talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
And
So-
I'm walking out of the picture.
Yeah, so we did update the building as you guys recommended. We changed the layout and design of it. On top of that, I'm actually working with Tori of hiring people in the community. That's my plan. That's what I've been doing right now. As I speak, I'm very hands-on with my business, and I'm part of the community. I try to help as much people as I can with my business. That's how I feel that the best way for a business to succeed is to be friendly with everyone in your surrounding, understand who you're dealing with and how to make everything better. So I do hire within the community. I'm doing it right now. That's not going to change. I'm going to be hands-on on the project as I am right now with my business. That's not going to change. Regardless who's I'm going to be in charge. I'm going to make sure that I'm hands-on. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing the same steps I'm doing right now because it's succeeding for me and it's making a big difference in my community. And I'm still going to try to give back as much as I can towards the community because that's the best way for a business to succeed.
Okay. And did Michael Pauls find a way to unmute himself yet, Jeff? Can you tell?
Michael is still muted.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to just, I'm going to is it okay with everybody if I stop the screen share?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, before we start discussion, we need to do a motion and the second. So I do see a couple hands up. So the motion is that which is on the agenda. John, do you happen to, if you're here, do you move that? John Arnold?
Yes, I will move that.
Okay, and who seconds? Does somebody second?
Nancy second.
I got second.
Is that Tori?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello? Can you guys?
Yes. Okay, so it's been moved and
There's
seconded.
Michael.
And here's Michael. So it's been, hang on a second, it's been moved and seconded. The motion, which is printed on the agenda, that it was to, that the UNNC Governing Board approve the project with the following recommendations. Utilize native plants as feasible, upgrade the facade of the new building to be more in keeping with historic architecture, and continue the current community engagement, including the current practice of hiring from the direct local community. I'm going to have, Michael, I know you've been on, finally are here, but I still have two questions, one from Paula and one from Dorit. So given their patience, is it okay if we have them ask their questions and then Michael, you can jump in? Yes, that's okay. So Paula.
My question is this the mobile station?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Dorit.
I'm thrilled that you're going to hire local because that neighborhood needs jobs and needs love. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I do have a question about the car wash. Here on page 3, the second from the last item, it said a request to allow the car wash opening and exit less than 100 feet from residence. The car wash opening is about 50 feet from the residential zone property. My understanding that isn't residential at the moment, but it is zoned for that. I also like to know what are the hours of the car wash? I do have kind of an issue about having it be that close to what could be a residential unit because, it's hard to live next to a business to begin with, especially if the driveway is only 50 feet from your window, and if the car wash is going to be 24/7, that's not going to be nice for some of those neighbors. So thank you.
Michael, you can answer that question.
Hello?
Hi.
Well, I'll tell you this, the car wash isn't 24/7. It starts at 8 to 8. So after 8 p.m. it's gonna be shut down. And it's gonna open at 8 a.m. So at night, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be open at night, the car wash. So it's not gonna be 24/7. We also did a study on the sound. The car wash is gonna be closed first, so the sound is not gonna be a major difference. I don't think it's gonna be a difference at all based on our study. We did a study on how loud the car wash is gonna be. And as I said, that it's not gonna be 24 hours. I understand there's neighbors around me, and I'm gonna make sure that's gonna stay starts at 8 a.m. It's gonna be closed by 8 p.m.
Follow-up question. So how about the driveway not being the required 100 feet from the residentially zoned property, but you're having it 50 feet? Have you spoken to the owners of that property?
That particular question, I mean, Michael can help me with that one, but he's having a little difficulties right now. I don't know if you can hear us.
We can hear you, Robbie.
Is Michael, you there?
Michael?
Okay.
We get technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We are having technical issues.
But in general, I mean, as I said, I think the more bigger problem would be, as you said, the 24-hour car wash, which is not. And I'm gonna respect my neighborhood and make sure it'll be shut at 8. It's gonna open at 8 a.m. So it's not gonna be open at night, where it's gonna wake up some residents around me, which it's not gonna happen.
So, but it'll be open 8 a.m. Saturday and Sunday morning. So
yes,
you got to really be really considerate of the noise, because living next to a business sucks. So just want to be respectful.
We did a study on the noise. Hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Here's Michael. He just called me. Michael, can you hear him? Can you speak?
Yes, I can hear.
Oh, that's good.
1 minute remaining on conversation.
Hello?
Yes, I do apologize. I've been hitting *6 continuously and nothing's working. So I tried to merge the call with Robbie to be able to provide some comments regarding the question involving the car wash being less than 100 feet from a residential zone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, thank you. Yeah, we took that very, very seriously, and what we did was we understand the car wash is going to be less than 100 feet, and the reason that the city included that provision was because they wanted to make sure that the car wash would not have any impacts on surrounding residences. The way the car wash is laid out, the entry to the car wash is within 50 feet. The exit to the car wash is in excess of 100 feet away. It's the exit of the car wash where the noise is generated because of the blowers that drive the car off. What we did was we hired an acoustical engineering company which specializes in car washes to ensure that the noise would not have any impact on the residences at all. So the car wash mechanism itself, as well as the dryers, or what they refer to as the blowers, at the exit of the car wash, were selected because of their quietness. And so we wanted to make sure, and the city of Los Angeles wants to make sure, that there are not going to be having any impacts. And there will not be any impacts at all. And we can assure you of that. We have already shared with the city the acoustical study, which shows that is not going to be the case. At no time will this car wash exceed the ambient noise of the surrounding area. So the car wash is going to be quieter than the traffic noise at the residence. I'd also like to point out that the car wash is going to operate from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. So we're not going to have late night hours. really car washes operate from really 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And some cars come in after that. But the majority of the business is throughout the middle of the day. This is also going to be a car wash which is environmentally friendly. It's going to save a significant amount of water. It's actually considered to be a drought-tolerant use by the city of Los Angeles. Compared to a driveway wash, which uses anywhere between 100 and 120 gallons of water, this car wash is going to use approximately 10 gallons per wash. So it's underrepresented use in the community. It is ultra quiet, and we made sure of that and stake our reputation on that also. We really don't want to we don't want to impact our neighbors, be them commercial neighbors or residential neighbors as a result.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, can you also mention what Robbie plans to do for those in the community who might utilize this car wash?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you very much for asking that question. Robbie's going to have a monthly plan where individuals can come in, and Robbie, you can speak to this far more eloquently than I. Is it $20 a month, Robbie?
So I'm working on a idea of that, which if you've been noticing, there's business is changing to a point where people are paying subscription based. So what I'm planning to do is having subscription based car wash. You can get one car wash a day, or it's going to start at $19.99. It's going to go all the way up to $39.99, depending on which wash you want. There's going to be 3 levels, but the lowest level is going to be $19.99 a month. You can get one wash a day for the month, and as long as you pay the membership fee.
Okay. Thank you.
The program, as Robbie had pointed out to me, is going to be for residents, community members in the surrounding community. So we're going to emphasize that for community members who want to take care of their cars and wash their vehicles.
Okay. Paula, you have your hand up, but you're muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I just did. Robbie said the hours would be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Michael said the hours are 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Just want to get the hours straight.
The hours are 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on the application we had submitted to the city of Los Angeles. And that's the request that we're making to the zoning administrator. At 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. All right. A little housekeeping here. Tori, during the course of this meeting, I think you said something about that you're actually working with Robbie. And initially, Nancy Cruz had seconded the motion, and but you were more enthusiastic, so we captured your second. Would it be okay, Tori, if we show this as Nancy has seconded? Because I know work doesn't mean you're getting money, but just to make it sort of a clean deal. Is that okay with you?
No, you can leave it like it is, because I'm not working in the capacity where I'm there. It's not gonna. It's fine. There's no conflict of interest.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments? Because we were doing so good to be on time, but now we aren't. We're trying. Or can we vote on the question? Oh, look, Marielle, it looked like you were raising.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, so if it is okay, we will vote on this motion. And it's that lovely BAC where I have to call the roll. And I again have posted into the chat, and it is on the agenda, what the motion is. But generally it is to approve the project. We're recommending utilizing native plants as feasible. And that's a little different than just drought resistant. That the building facade be upgraded to be more in keeping with the historical architecture of the community. Looks like they're working towards that. and continue the current community engagement. And we've had that discussion. So that is the motion, moved and seconded. Please, everyone, unmute yourself so when I call your name, you can just vote. Asai.
Yes.
Okay, Dorit.
Yes.
Gavin is absent. John?
Yes.
Arnold? Is Carlos here or absent?
Absent.
Absent.
Yeah, awesome.
Tori?
Yes.
Gabby?
Can I vote now?
Yes.
Oh, well, yes.
Yes, I'm doing the roll call vote. Jorge is absent. Laura is a yes. Hugo?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Raheem? Is Raheem here?
He was.
I know.
He was here. Yeah.
I understand. This is bedtime for kids. So I'm putting him as absent for this vote. Is Isaac here?
Yes.
And your vote is also a?
Yes.
Thank you. Marielle?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Michael is absent. Yes? Is that correct? Chris is absent. I meant Michael Kimbrough, our board member. Greg Jackson?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Janie?
Yes.
And Lizzie?
Yes.
Najee is absent. Okay, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's back up a second. Gabby, have they confirmed, has Dunn confirmed that your ethics training is good to go?
No, that's why I was asking if I could even vote. I would just abstain for this vote, just
Well,
because for this meeting. If
I'm
that's
putting in, we have a category called ineligible.
Okay, let's do that. Thank you.
Okay, is Thomas Sung still on the call?
Yeah.
He still says present, but I haven't gotten an answer from him yet.
Right, and I had asked him the same question myself earlier today. So,
no worries, I'll follow up with
I'm
him. Thank
sorry,
you,
this
Laura.
is Thompson. This is Thompson. What were you asking me?
the question is
follow up offline. We can move.
To vote because does her ethics training that she's already taken count or not?
Yes, we'll go ahead and do it for this time. Yeah.
Okay, Gabby, you can vote.
Okay, thank you.
And that was a yes. Thank you. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 yeses. There are no no's, no abstains, no ineligibles, no recused, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 absent for the vote. And that comes out to 23. Perfect. Okay, moving on. The next item is also land use 1518 South Gramercy Place, the Mogan David Synagogue Church of the Divine Guidance in Angeles Vista.
Madam Chair, sorry for interrupting. Time limit on this item?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry, I had done a total time limit for the 2 items, and that's what you're asking. That has already expired, so I would say 10 minutes total. Max.
5 and 5.
Well,
5.
whatever you guys want.
Let's do 5 on this one. This one took us 2 minutes in the Planning and Zoning Committee.
Yes, it
All right,
did.
I'll set the timer for 5.
All right, so I'm sharing the screen while I'm also going to read out loud in case anybody is here on the phone. There was a request from some members of the community for a lot of reasons, but the short answer is property is for sale. It's a current threat. That UNNC request of Council District 10. that it support an expedited historic landmark nomination for the Art Deco style Mogen David Synagogue Church of the Divine Guidance, which is already a contributor to the Angeles Vista Character Residential Overlay CPIO. The request would be that the council member either directly nominate this building from council floor as a monument, or that he support expediting a community-driven nomination of the synagogue and church building. What I've posted on the screen is a initial historic summary, and I'll explain in a second. But on the agenda, it does say that Survey LA identified the structure as an excellent example of an Art Deco church. It's exemplary of the style. It exhibits high quality of design through distinctive features. It was built in 1933 as a synagogue in this neighborhood for what was called, not the wine, but the actual Mogen David congregation. And since the 1950s, it's been the Church of Divine Guidance. UNNC has a procedure, a protocol, that if we're being asked to approve or recommend approval of a potential historic cultural monument, that we need to see either an initial historic summary or, depending on the time frame, the actual
3 minutes remaining.
HCM nomination. So this is an initial summary. We don't review without having this material. So I hope all of you had gone on to our Google Drive and taken a look at this. But again, this complies with our requirements in the sense of there's something that was submitted. It matches the historic cultural monument, the ordinance, in that it's identified with having architectural significance and historic significance. It's associated not just with the pioneering Jewish synagogue, but also with the Reverend Clayton Donovan Russell, who was a religious leader and a pioneering broadcaster and a civil rights trailblazer in the period of time around World War II in particular. He was really during the war one of
2
LA's
minutes remaining.
prominent African-American leaders, and in 1941 he organized the Negro Victory Committee. And I'm going to show you the photos. It's a distinctive Art Deco design, and that is it. So, fine. As John said, and maybe John can take over from here since he is the co-chair. And should I leave this photo up, John?
Yeah, we had very little discussion in Planning and Zoning Committee. I mean, it's apparent it's a church, it's a special building. It's not one of thousands like a bungalow might be that would take some extra points to get it into HCM mode. It's obviously, it's a community building. It's a unique design. It's characteristic of our Art Deco. It's in good condition. And it's, this, to my mind, is a textbook case of what an HCM should be. It's a one-off in good condition, and it's vintage.
1 minute remaining.
That's all I have to say. It took very little discussion.
Right, and contextually, it is, again, it's for sale. The marketer, the real estate marketer, is saying in his materials, on the one hand, it's historic, and they're saying that. And on the other hand, they're saying, but it's also a land development opportunity. And so that's what becomes the reason for moving this forward at this time. It is, again, a contributor within the character residential district, but what we have been seeing at planning staff at the case processing level is that they're really welcoming owners of properties who want to demolish to hire consultants who then make a case that should not be contributors. And we here at UNNC have had multiple cases like that. So it just seems like a added layer of protection might be appropriate. Okay, do I need to keep the share up, or can I, what do you guys think? Can I undo this screen share? Because I can't see if there's hands.
Yes,
Undo
you
the
can
screen
undo.
share so we can make the motion and vote on it.
Yes.
We can
Please.
vote.
Okay. Well, the motion is on the agenda, but I would need someone to make it.
I so move. This is Paula Southern.
I'll
Second,
second it.
Gabby.
Oh, Gabby.
Go
can
ahead,
second,
I'll
sorry.
defer to Dory.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Paula moved. Who seconded?
I did, Dorit.
Dorit.
Okay, thank you. And are there any questions or discussion? Okay, do you see any blue hands, Jeff? Because I don't.
Nope, it looks like it's time to call for the vote.
Okay. And will you guys forgive me if I post the motion in the chat after the vote so that we just have it in the chat, but we can
So
move on
forgiven.
now? Perfect.
So forgiven.
Thank you, I'll do it, but so we'll have the record. So I'm going to call the roll. And everybody unmute. I'm sorry to always do it in the same order. So I'm reading from a list. Asai.
Unmute.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, everybody who can vote, please just unmute. Dorit?
Yes.
Gavin is absent. John?
Yes.
Carlos is absent. Tori?
Yes.
Gabby?
Yes.
Jorge is absent. I'm voting yes. Hugo?
Abstain.
Okay. Paula?
Yes.
Rahim, if he's here.
Sorry, I'm here, but I've got to abstain. I missed a bunch of that.
Okay. Isaac?
Yes.
Marielle?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Michael Kimbrough is absent. Chris Carlson is absent. Greg?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Janie? Perhaps absent for this vote. Lizzie?
Yes.
And Najee is absent. Is Janie's not on mute. Is Janie here? I'm marking Janie absent for the vote. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 yes, 2 abstain, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 absent. Okay. Planning and Zoning Committee updates. I swear I'm not going to be doing all the talking tonight, but I do have an update. I attended the Cultural Heritage Commission hearing this morning virtually, and the Streamline Modern building on the corner of Venice and St. Andrews, so the northeast corner, is called the School of I. Was voted by the Cultural Heritage Commission unanimously to recommend, because it still goes to City Council, but to approve its designation as a historic cultural monument. And they overruled the staff report. The staff report was positive. It said only the building, only architecture, but they agreed with the applicant and other people who testified that the crazy story of the woman who's behind all of it, who built the building but developed a program to teach people how to not go blind, for lack of a better description. But it's sort of a kooky 1920s spiritual thing. Anyway, they ruled that she too was a significant personage. So this will be a architecture and historic cultural monument. So that is my update. And John, do we have anything else? I don't think so. Oh, maybe we do. John, do we have any updates related to Van Ness that we can share?
Sorry, I was done. Only that it's going forward, I know the developer is.
They don't know. They don't know my shorthand reference.
So Van Ness was the two. Oh, I'm sorry, that we haven't discussed it yet here. So planning and zoning, there was a development proposed to demolish 2 houses that are clearly character defining and a character residential overlay, but were missed by Survey LA, which is what the planning department uses as criteria. They were proposed to be demolished, and just as they were about to demolish them, and we were alerted to it, and the developer has since agreed to keep the 2 houses and build 4 units behind them, thus preserving the character of the street. So they are going to building and safety imminently, probably in a month or 2, to reestablish their permits to get that project done. So that is a win for everybody as far as I'm concerned.
Right. And I guess John and I also were in attendance at yet another Zoom meeting for yet another house in the Angeles Vista Character Residential Overlay Zone on St. Andrew's Place, where also they'll be keeping the building and building 20 units, I think it was, of permanent supportive affordable housing. So some of the units will be in the house, and many more will be in a new building rising in the rear. So this is really what UNNC had hoped would be the result of having a character overlay. So crossing fingers that we're on a better path than we were a year ago, facing demolitions right and left.
And it's also, and I'm just going to put a pitch in for proactive, collaborative engagement with developers to find a solution that works. And I think at both those sites, that will lead to the preservation of these 2 buildings, or 3 buildings, knock on wood.
Right. Okay.
Madam Chair, next item.
Yep. Executive Committee. Who's presenting? A funding request to facilitate UNNC committee meetings. Propose a possible purchase of 1 or more additional Zoom licenses. Each Zoom Pro license currently costs $14.99 a month, circa $180 annually, although there is an annual, when you pay for it annually, it'd be cheaper. Request up to $540. And this would be in part to relieve Laura of the duty of doing creating every single Zoom committee meeting, Zoom, and then having to turn it on and at the end turn it off. So we had at the executive committee already sort of pointed to Asai and said, hey, you should be the Zoom guru, but he would need his own license, and other neighborhood councils are doing board reimbursements basically for committee chairs who want to have their own, not their own, they can't use it personally, but additional Zoom licenses. And I know, Thomas, you had some comment about that. So I think if Thomas, you want to share your comment before we do a motion? If you're still with us. Oh, there he is.
No, I'm still here. Yeah,
Okay.
so we do have, if you look at the monthly profile, we didn't realize that we know that there's a new function in Zoom that you don't have, you could set up the host option so that, Laura, you don't have to be at all the meetings to start it, but then we didn't realize that. This is what I'm going to talk to our tech team about, because I didn't realize that you can't, like the committee chairs can't end the meetings. That's news to us. So
yeah, right. Yeah, so I guess I'll explain what we discovered, and Nancy, I think it was at your meeting, right? Was that it was at one of the committee meetings we attempted to have. We created I substituted somebody in as the host, but I was still here. But they could not turn off the meeting, and so it was sort of like, oh, if I had left my office and gone home, I would have come back in the morning, and we would still be recording our Zoom meeting.
3 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah, then for me though, then just, I mean, you can always go ahead and approve it. I'll put you in touch with our tech team, because that's the first we heard of this. So that's, because our understanding was that once you set it up, then you give the host ability to the committee chair, then they're able to do, resume all the responsibilities of the Zoom, any meetings, setting, yeah. So let me put you in touch with our tech person though, but you could still go ahead and at least get this approved, and we could work from there.
Okay. So are there any questions, comments, somebody to move it?
Dorit has her hand raised.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
First, does someone have to move it before we can start having discussion?
Yes, we need a moverer, and a seconder.
Make a motion that we approve the, whatever the amount of money is that we have. Let me see, the $540 for funding the Zoom licenses.
Second, Lizzie.
Lizzie seconded.
Okay.
Okay, so my question or my comment is, I don't want to burden Asai. He's too young for all this, all this headaches. I don't want to burden him with being the only person who can use this. I belong to other boards and other committees, and what we do is we share the Zoom through the nonprofit or through the organization. Everyone has access to the password and to the login information. So anyone who can set up the meeting who's been authorized. So that's what we should do, not just put in Asai's name unless he really wants that stress and gray hair. It would make a lot more sense to allow committee chairs to use it instead of putting the burden on one person.
A common email and password.
Okay, I'm raising my own hand. Okay, and I'm jumping ahead. That's a really great idea. We would need to, though, then set up what, in other words, if you're saying started out with just one more, because obviously I'm not dumping mine, but it has to be, the Zoom license is associated with a single email. So what we would need to do is set up probably a Gmail or a Yahoo, not a UNNC email, so that it's, Zoom user, UNNC.zoom.user, at Gmail, something like that, so that we could share that password among people, because it's associated with a single email.
Yes.
So we don't need to vote on the technicality of it. If we want to vote on allowing the purchase of one, again, do we want just one or would we want two? I guess one would be fine if we did that.
Well, Madam President, in the motion, we have up to 540.
Right.
So as long as we have the money there and we say up to
Well, we can start with one, and if that
Yes.
proves insufficient, we can
Go
get
buy
another.
another one, right, because it's already approved.
Right. I see no other hands. I don't see hands raised. Sorry, because
So let's call the vote.
hang on. I will call the vote in a second. Just so sorry, because I'm actually trying to post that prior one. All right, I'm just running behind, but let's call the vote. Any reason not to call the vote?
No.
Okay,
No.
Greg moves, Lizzie seconds. This motion I won't be posting to go up to 540. Please unmute yourselves. And Asai,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
Gavin is absent. John,
Yes.
Carlos is absent. Tori,
Yes.
Gabby, you've probably not taken your funding training, is that right?
I haven't finished it, so I'm ineligible to vote.
Exactly. Okay, Jorge is absent. Laura's a yes. Hugo,
Yes for me.
Paula,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Isaac. Has Isaac dropped off the call? I'm going to call Isaac absent for the vote. Marielle?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Michael Kimbrough is absent. Chris Carlson absent. Greg?
Affirmative.
Nancy?
Abstain. I missed this part.
Okay, no problem. Janie? I think we have lost Janie. I know she's coming back, but she's absent for the vote. Lizzie? Did we lose? Oh, Lizzie's here. You're muted though.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay, and Najee is absent. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 yes, 1 abstain, 1 ineligible, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 absent, which includes absences for the vote. Okay.
Sorry about that. Isaac was a yes. I was just cut off for a second there.
Oh, okay. Isaac's a yes. So we have 14 yes and 7 absent. Thank you. Okay. Oh, wait, yes. Okay. 7B. Sadly, it's another funding request. Nothing to post here. Just sad. We have a phone called Ring Central. They raised their rates. We did not know they were going to raise their rates. And so our budget says $265, and in fact, it's $415.71 for the year. We will be disconnected if we don't pay this within 3 days, just saying, because we're a month late already. So, Raheem, I guess you can tell us what the heck a Ring Central is and why we need it. You don't know?
No, I sure can't. I mean, it's just like a general phone number voicemail inbox, right?
Yeah, it's just where people call us and leave their messages and occasionally text us, and it bounces to the president's email, and then I forward it to my email, and most of it's junk, but not always. So, I respond or distribute for somebody to respond. So, but we have to have a phone.
What I will say is that I'm sure that there are other less expensive options out there, but I mean, given that this has been our phone number for a while and it's kind of like all over all of our things that we publish, like I think it's probably best to just pay the money and keep things moving.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, are there any other just broad comments? I'm so far behind. I'm posting that HCM thing now, but is there a motion on this in a second? This would be to adjust the budget for the phone from 265 to 415.71 and fund that amount of 415.71 to pay for Ring Central. Greg?
I make a motion that we adjust the budget to $451.71 and we pay the bill as it is presented to us, so we can have phone service.
I second. This is Paul.
Okay, Paula got in there first. First for a second. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Nothing. Okay, I'm calling that roll.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was wondering how often do people actually call that number or leave voicemails? Do we have any kind of statistic on it? Because I just feel that when I call and then if I don't hear anyone pick up, most of the time I just don't leave a voicemail and I just either call another time or I try and leave an email. I'm just wondering.
I would say it's basically once a day. I mean, there might be 3 on one day and 0 on another, but it's basically 365 messages a year. Now, you didn't ask, if you're going to ask me how many of those messages are junk versus something real, I can't answer that. I haven't analyzed. Because again, it comes in as an email, and sometimes it's a text, and other times it's an email. More often with a, what am I trying to say?
Audio,
a recording,
recording.
like a voicemail, only it's digital. And I have to listen to it.
Nancy had her hand raised.
Yeah, but for example, we're getting calls from the people who want to present to us, oddly enough, are the ones who make the calls most often, rather than email. And I don't know why. It's probably got something to do with how the city also gives our information out to other government agencies, is my best guess, because we get a lot of those phone calls. Lizzie. Well, you said Lizzie had her hand up, because I don't see.
Oh,
Lizzie.
Nancy.
Nancy.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just one question. If Raheem says that the price is overpriced, I guess can we look for or figure out if we want to use a different service next year before the deadline comes up?
Yes, that'd be really good, because this does seem rather expensive. Yeah, we would not have even noticed, except for the fact that the credit card that was attached to it belonged to Jeff Bowen, so it didn't go through because it's been canceled by the city. So, because we otherwise would have just paid it without even noticing, frankly.
Thank
So
God
yes,
for that.
it'd be very good if we do find out if there's a better system. We could probably keep the phone number. But not by the 6th of September, when we're going to be disconnected.
Right. For now, can we just call for the vote and then investigate?
That'd be fine. Okay, everybody unmute, and we can do this fast. Asai.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, you're always first. You have to be on it. Dorit.
Yes.
Gavin is absent. John Arnold.
Yep.
Carlos is absent. Tori. Tori's marking you're absent for the vote. Gabby, you're in Ellen. Oh, Tori, are you there?
Yes.
Is your vote yes?
Yes.
Okay. Jorge is absent. Laura's a yes. Hugo.
Yes.
Paula.
Yes.
Raheem.
Yep.
Isaac.
Yes.
Marielle.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
Cordell.
Yes.
Michael is absent. Chris is absent. Greg.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Janie. Still not here. Absent. Lizzie.
Yes.
And Najee is absent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 yes. 1 ineligible, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 absent, or at least absent for the vote. Okay. Uh-oh. So where is Janie here actually? Because we have moved to the CIS committee, proposed community impact statements.
She's here.
Yes, I just got back from putting kids to bed. So.
What a
sorry.
perfect timing.
Perfect mommy duty.
Because you are up.
So it's just.
How would you like to handle this? How many minutes for each item?
Well, we had thought, I had done 25 minutes total, and I sort of thought maybe 5 minutes for Janie to talk about the new Community Impact Statements Committee, and then, try and parse the rest, whatever, however she wants to do this, but, a little introduction to the committee and then the 3 items. Unless Janie objects to that idea.
That's fine. So we had our first CIS committee meeting. Thank you for everybody who attended. And we tried in that meeting to kind of get clear on what we want the committee to do and how it will function. So essentially, it will be the the last Thursday of the month. And basically, we're requesting that anybody who would like to work on a CIS for the board meeting, submit a CIS to the CIS committee on the Thursday prior to that's confusing, to the Thursday prior to the CIS committee meeting. So and essentially we will hear the proposed CIS, and we will help people to work on the CIS to get it in good shape. And also I will be trying to send out a monthly email that kind of gives people a heads up about what CISs are out, or what motions are out there at the moment that might be of interest to the board, and see if anybody picks up one of those to write a CIS. I think that's it for now. And we had 3 CISs that went through the committee meeting this time around. So we just should probably do one at a time to vote on each one, correct, Laura?
Yes, indeed, okay. Do it one at a time. Should we be putting this back up on the screen? I think we should. So I will share my screen with the agenda because it's actually printed on the agenda. And move down to the agenda item. And the question is, did you guys look at, because this is a CIS, but did everybody have a chance to look at the motion itself, or does it matter?
Yes.
Hearing
yes,
nobody.
I read the motion.
Okay, so here's the motion being at City Council. That's what I mean this time. Did everyone or have a chance, if they wanted to take the time to look at the City Council motion? And here's what the proposed community impact statement is. And Janie, it's your motion. I mean, it's your CIS. So now that it's posted, you can continue to talk. Can you see it, Janie? Are you able to see
it?
Okay.
Yes, I can see it. So essentially this motion is calling for a report to the council. So it's not actually putting this into action, but it's calling for a report into the feasibility of applying for municipal liquidity facility loan assistance. And basically this is kind of in an effort to try to help out those who are really struggling economically at the moment due to unforeseen consequences brought on by COVID-19. So the idea is to look into this loan assistance that would help provide utility-related debt forgiveness and rent forgiveness to people inside of Los Angeles who have been impacted by COVID-19. And yes, I'll just leave it at that. That's basically it.
Right. So Janie makes the motion. Is there a second?
This is Dorit. I'll second it.
Okay. Is there discussion? And Jeff, because I'm sharing my screen, I cannot see easily hands raised.
Got it covered.
Huh. Is there no discussion?
Let's vote.
Keep it moving.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Seems good. Hang on. This one, I feel more compelled to. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. I've just posted the funding motion. I'm gonna post this. I've run out of room, but I'm okay. So this is moved by Janie, second by Dorit, and I didn't. Chat box doesn't capture the entire thing. So, are we good with it being a partial chat box? Again, we have it on our agenda.
Yes. Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Okay. So, if they're seeing no hands raised and hearing no comments jumping out, we'll just vote on this. If everyone could unmute, so when I call you, we just move quickly. Asai.
Yes.
Okay, Dorit.
Yes.
Gavin is absent. John.
Yes.
Carlos is absent. Tori.
Yes.
Gabby.
Yes.
Jorge is absent. I'm voting yes. Hugo.
Yes.
Paula.
Yes.
Raheem.
Yep.
Isaac.
Yes.
Marielle.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
Cordell.
Yes.
Michael Kimbrough is absent. Chris Carlson absent. Greg.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Janie.
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Najee is absent. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 absent. Okay. So the next one, I'm going to share the screen again. And Janie, this is still you.
Okay.
Oops, lovely. Look at that. See if it cleans up. Okay. Okay. Council file 200990.
Okay. Whoa, just moved. So basically this is proposing that all members of the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council system would be required to take another training. And this training would be in diversity, ethics, and inclusion, and anti-bias training. I think this is coming from a place of a lot of people realizing that there is a lot of bias that people are not even aware of a lot of the time that has serious effects on the way decisions are made and how power gets kind of reinforced in ways that we might not want it to. So I think this is important, and this is a motion that is coming before the city council. So that is basically it.
Okay. Moved by Janie. Who's the second?
Gabby seconds.
And again, I'm unable to see the blue hands raised. Thomas, you may have some thoughts to share on this, again, if you're still here.
Nancy has her hand raised and Greg has his hand raised.
Okay, so is Thomas Sung still here?
Thomas is still here, but he may be juggling through multiple neighborhood council
Got
meetings.
it. Okay, Nancy. Then
Okay, I teleported
there
back.
it is.
Okay. Yeah, so this is something that we'll be working on. Our department won't be providing the trainings, but this is something that's going to be mandatory for as one of the trainings for the board members. So yeah, I mean, so we'll keep you posted as we get closer to getting the training rolled out. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy.
Yes, so I've done multiple anti-biased, implicit bias trainings, and I feel like the most effective ones are the ones where it's interactive. And so I don't know if there's a way, I don't think it's going to be that successful if it's like the funding training where you just go online and listen to it on your own. Is there a way, I guess, that we can say that they should encourage that it be an interactive, that they actually bring in a trainer to come in and interact with the various neighborhood council board members?
Nancy, this is Thompson again. Sorry, Chair. Stepping out of line. Send me a quick email to that effect, because I think we're still taking recommendations. Okay.
Okay, and so Nancy, are you asking us to amend this?
I would be happy to amend this and add that recommendation.
Okay, so hang on a second. That makes it a little harder for what I'm doing on my end, but that's not impossible. So what would be, if it's easiest if we amend it at the very end of it, add a sentence? And what would that sentence be?
Recommend training that is
interactive.
Nancy,
Interactive
or
in
live training sessions.
Interactive, yeah.
A live training, live.
Well, I don't know how soon that would be able to be rolled out. If it's
Yeah, but
live,
live like in Zoom or in person. Just
can I boil it down to recommend that the training be a live interactive training?
Yes.
Okay, I'm stopping the screen share, and then this one I'm really posting, and let's everybody take a look at it and take a moment. Hang on. And I'm hoping this all goes in. So I posted it in the chat. If you guys could just read the last sentence, because you've been reading all the rest of the sentences for a bit. So the amendment would be the addition of recommend that the training be a live interactive training, right?
Maybe just say as we feel that this is the most effective method, or just to clarify.
Yeah, delivery method. Yeah.
It is.
Okay. That, as we feel this is the most effective delivery method.
Yes.
Perfect. So second, Gabby, and CIS for, sorry, file 20-0990. Okay. Any other hands raised? Greg had his hand raised.
Greg removed his hand.
Was that how you've given
I
up?
took my hand down.
Got
I took my hand down. Questions and
Okay.
answers.
Anyone else? I'm not seeing any. Okay. Shall we call this question?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Asai.
Yes.
Dorit.
Yes.
Gavin is absent. John.
Yes.
Carlos absent. Tori.
What
Tori?
happened to Tori?
I'm here. Yes.
Gabby.
Yes.
Jorge is absent. I'm a yes. Hugo.
Yes for me.
Paula.
Yes.
Raheem,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Hugh,
Yes.
Cordell,
Yes.
Michael is absent, Chris is absent, Greg,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Janie, yes,
Yes.
and Lizzie,
Yes.
and Najee is absent. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 yes. 1, 2, 3, 6 absent. All righty. Okay, back to the screen share. Nope. I've lost it. Okay, share. And so the next item, oh, what a mess again, is Council File 200963, Neighborhood Council Elections Vote by Mail. It's a proposed community impact statement for if amended. And this one was my proposed CIS. Basically, the city clerk, as Thomas had also mentioned, has proposed and is pretty much approved, but for the details, making all the neighborhood council elections next spring 100% vote by mail, with the development of a new elections portal to be designed and completed by December 2020, and all outreach to be done in partnership with Dunn and the neighborhood councils. However, Dunn's budget request for the outreach was not funded by the city council. So the proposed CIS is that the United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council supports the initiative to conduct these elections via vote by mail, but only if the proposal is amended to include 1, some funding for outreach, 2, a sufficient number of drop-off boxes be required so that voting is not totally reliant on the postal service, and 3, that there be more interface with neighborhood councils. The city clerk should work with individual neighborhood councils to on how to design the new portal and how to determine who would get the ballots. So that's my motion. I don't know if there is a second.
Second, Lizzie.
Who said that?
Lizzie.
Thank you. And Thomas, you had some input, so I think we again can start with you.
No, thank you. So, Laura's right in terms of we are doing this partnership with the city clerk, and our outreach budget did not get approved. So we got to get a little creative in terms of how do we get the word out there, partnering with different organizations and partnering with with the neighborhood councils as well. I won't really say it's good news, but because the South LA, your area is later on in May versus the first candidate filing, which is opens in November for another region, there's some time to plan. Now, speaking in terms of the feedback, now the conversation is not going to be whether or not we should have vote by mail. So the conversation is what Laura's saying is, hey, is there an opportunity to have more than one drop box location, in each of the councils? So we do have a survey out there. I'll resend it again, but those are some of the questions: is how would you best like to receive the ballot? So please fill that out. In terms of having more of a direct one-to-one city clerk and our department working with you with the elections. So that's why tomorrow I'll get you the name of the election administrator to kind of how could they tailor kind of to the election to the needs of the rules will be uniform and standard, but how can they tailor it to the needs of the UNNC? So yeah, that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay. So part of my concern and why I proposed this, 2 election cycles ago, we enjoyed a good relationship with the city clerk and the elections team with Dunn, and for our at-large stakeholder category, we were able to pre-vet and sort of create a list of organizations which are, you know, participatory within United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council area, and sort of have a pre-vetted list of those organizations so that people who participate in them, whether it be a church, an educational group, I mean, it didn't matter, oil advocacy, I mean, there's all kinds of groups, of Moms Club of West Adams, just so that a person who was requesting a ballot for voting could say, I belong to or I participate with this organization or that organization. So that was 4 years ago. 2 years ago, the city clerk refused to allow us to do that. And then as people were coming to the election, some of them were turned away when they didn't actually know the address of the church they attended. They might have, you know, they knew it was Holman, they knew, or whatever, it was at Adams and Fourth, but they didn't know the actual address. So I'm just concerned that we be allowed to work with the city clerk. That's my biggest concern is since they're gonna have a portal and people are just gonna apply for it, and maybe they'll be turned away and we'll never know. So that's my biggest concern. So I saw a blue hand, you know, I'm making a comment. I saw a blue hand, but now I've lost it.
4 minutes remaining and Hugo has his hand.
Okay. No, go ahead, Hugo.
Okay. Thomas, I was kind of wondering what you thought about the feasibility of having voting being online during the CIS committee. I kind of mentioned that one of the concerns was the cost, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with any recent studies or reports that would that predict how much it would cost to implement that across neighborhood councils.
Well,
Here you go. Do me, Chair, do me answer? Do you want to?
Thomas, go ahead, but I think the basic answer is there's not even one more dollar.
Yes, that's the and Hugo, just to give you a quick framing reference, and I think that was one of the reasons the terms got extended for a year, because we're looking at now, you know, is there entity out there that could do this, you know, and maintain integrity, you know? So that's the short answer is great idea, that was considered, but there's no funding for it. Right?
Oxymoron.
Okay, again, Jeff, I'm not able to see hands at the moment.
No hands are raised at the moment.
Okay. Can I take down the screen share and instead post the motion in chat?
You may, and we are at 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, I actually have lost the ability to remove the screen share even.
It's down. It's no longer.
Well, there you go. That's why I can't do it, because it's gone. How's sorry. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Here I am hosting it. So it's moved by me and seconded by Lizzie. Are there any more questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote. Asai.
Yes.
Dorit.
Yes.
Gavin is absent. John.
Yep.
Did you say no or yo?
I said, yup.
Okay, Carlos is absent. Tori?
Yes.
Gabby is temporarily absent. Jorge is absent. Laura is a yes. Hugo?
I'm gonna be like John and say yo.
Okay, Paula?
Yo.
Raheem?
Yo.
Oh my God.
Isaac? Is Isaac here? Okay, I'm moving on. Maybe he'll unmute later. Marielle? Yo. Hugh.
Yes.
Cordell.
Yo, yo.
Okay, Michael's absent, Chris is absent, Greg.
Why not yo?
Nancy. Is Nancy here?
She was.
Janie.
I see.
Yeah, she's still on.
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Najee is absent, so let's circle back. Is Isaac here? Again, mark him absent for the vote. And is Nancy here?
Yes.
Okay, and so you're not absent for the vote. Okay. Oh, and are you voting yes or just answering that yes, you're here? Voting yes.
I'm voting yes.
And I understand that we have, hang on, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Out of 15, we have 11 yos and 4 yeses.
So what's
Greg
the,
has raised
what's
his
the
hand.
negative equivalent of yo? Is it
I think
No.
yes. Oh, Greg has his hand up.
It's not about the particular motion, it's about the committee itself.
Okay, hang on then. Let me just say, since we're being recorded, and we have 15 ayes, yeses, yos, whatever, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 absence or absent for the vote. Okay, back to Greg.
Okay, in Jenny's presentation, I heard her say that she has taken on the responsibility of reviewing all of the CISs that are posted each month and then bringing that to our attention. My concern for her is that seems like an awful lot of work for one individual to take on. That's just my concern, and I just know that there are perhaps other methods to help her with that. But I just want to express my concern about her taking all that on herself.
Oh,
go ahead, Janie.
Thank you for the concern. So this time around, for example, I actually didn't do all that much work. Slink, the South LA Neighborhood Council Alliance, sent a list of motions that brought them to our attention. There's also a couple other alliances that bring important motions to our attention. So basically, you're right, it's impossible to go through every single motion, but there are already groups that are filtering them to a certain extent, and so I'll be kind of like doing another layer of filtering to bring them to us.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Right.
Thank you to the committee.
Right. So here's the thing, Greg. Also, as the committee gets going, I mean, there was a good discussion at this one, and there were, I don't remember, but it was more than Janie was at the meeting. Let's just say it that way. But I think even though we've set up the committee structure, we tried to do the last couple of years where we were assigning 2 people every month to look at motions and bring proposed CISs. That did not work very well, but it doesn't mean that as neighborhood council board members, we all shouldn't be paying some attention to motions that are brought forth in areas that are our own interests, right? So, so I think anyone can be following an item and then bring it to the CIS committee. The reason it's towards the end, it's at the end of the month and the end of the cycle is in part so we don't miss what I would call the news, so we stay on top of things. But if it wasn't a COVID pandemic, most council motions have a life of months and months and months and months, not days or 2 weeks. So there's no doubt a lot of you follow a lot of different topics, so there's just no reason why you can't propose the CIS and go to the committee and maybe even work on it for a month or 2 if it's not overly timely. And
Madam Chair, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt, but we're 20 minutes behind and I suggest moving on to the next items.
Okay. What is the next one? Ugh. Committee chair, co-chair appointments, committee meeting calendar. So we can do that. We can do that. Okay, moving on. You're right, because I'm still catching up on prior motions here, but there isn't really. We still have some committee vacancies. I don't know if anyone who is here has thought for the past month about any committees that they wish to chair. The main one that is important that we consider filling really fast would be an elections committee chair, because that person or pair of persons, if we want to have co-chairs, really needs to start getting up to speed and working with the clerk and with Dunn. And if Thomas, I see Gabby has her hand up, but Thomas, I want to ask a question. In the past, I think we were told that the elections committee chair could not be someone who was up for election. Is that still true? Given that there will be no face-to-face canvassing and everything anyway. So
let me find out for you. My understanding was that you could be, I think that's the caution, is that it should be someone who's not up for election. But I think someone who could be on the committee, let me find out for you for sure, but you could be on that committee if you're up for election up to a certain point. But we would need to review the new, the upcoming election manual, what that states though. So if in order for you to, I mean, in abundance of caution, I would pick people that's not part of the, that's not part of the, that's not for election.
Okay. So Lizzie has her hand up. Gabby, I thought I'd seen her hand up, but now I don't.
You actually asked my question. Thank you, Laura.
Okay, so Lizzie does have her hand up.
Yes, so just as historic precedents, when I was up for election, I was part of the committee, not chair, but I was part. Actually, on the last two rounds, I've been part of the committee, of the elections committee. So, and on one, I was up for elections.
Okay, so the people who are not up for election are everybody who's in Group B 2023. And that would include myself. Yeah, this may not be completely accurate. So it includes Nancy, myself, Isaac. I'm reading from our roster, but there's been some strangeness in the roster too. So this may not be accurate. Anyway, Greg, Hugh, Hugo, Paula, Najee, but he's been not around. So
this information is online, Laura, on the rosters. I can share the link right now with you.
No, I have the roster, so I don't need the link. It's that the roster we have, it's not balanced properly. We have there's an error in it, but I haven't quite figured it out. So what's online comes from this roster, unfortunately. So, but the point is, that's who's eligible to be the chair of the committee, or anyone who's, a stakeholder can chair it. It's just that person has to also not be running. So if your term is expiring, but you're not running, you could also chair this committee. The whole thing is about not running. Okay, so I am going to, so anyway, and I know the default is the president, but I think the president's a little busy, but she might have to do this temporarily if we have to start meeting with the clerk like right now. So Thomas, is the timeline that we have to start meeting with the clerk right now?
Yeah. I think right now they're trying to finalize things. So I'm thinking, so definitely in October, November for sure. So,
okay.
But then You can start kind of having conversations with them right now. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so unless somebody's raising their hand and wanting to be it, and here Gabby's raising her hand, but I don't know that she wants to be it. Whatever. Hi, Gabby.
I don't think I can be the chair because I am up for re-election in
Right.
2021, but I'm happy to be a member and represent UNNC at any meetings with the city clerk.
Okay. Well,
5
I
minutes
guess what I'm
remaining.
saying, on the interim basis, Jeff, actually, I want to ask you, for committees that have no chairs, is the president automatically the chair? I don't think so.
The president, according to our bylaws, the president oversees every single committee. So by default, you would be committee chair.
Yeah, I don't.
If there were no
want to be
chair.
elections chair. Let me just say that. But
No, I'm just sharing that history with you, is that the president can preside over any meeting, including those currently chaired with a committee chair. So, yeah, the president is the default.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I don't know if we don't vote on members of committees. So, Gabby, you're certainly welcome to be on that committee. For the moment, I will default, but I'm going to look for a real chair because how many things can I really do? So why don't you guys think about it? Because even those who are up for election, if you're not running, you could chair. We just need one person to be the official chair. Okay, and then in terms of the calendar, for all of you folks who are now committee chairs, some of you have, in fact, given me dates where you want to have your standing meetings, but others have not. And all of our committees need to have a standing meeting date. It does not need to be a monthly date. If you think your committee wants to meet quarterly, that is fine, but we still need to make it a standing meeting because we also treat our committees, in effect, they're legislative bodies. But the only way they are legislative bodies is if they have a standing meeting night or day. It could be a Saturday. Lizzie.
3 minutes remaining.
Yes. So I'm the outreach committee doesn't have a standing meeting time, but I've been thinking about, and actually I've been looking at some of the neighborhood councils who have, because I was at the communications meeting the last time, and I'm realizing, especially now, a lot of what outreach and communications, a lot of our efforts are going to be very similar. So I was wondering if the communications committee would consider joining both committees for now.
The only trouble is that we have in our standing rules is an outreach committee. So you could merge your meetings, but not the committees, I think. But also, what about, because the elections, I think then you have to be participatory in the elections committee too, though.
Right.
So
can this be discussed offline, and then we can?
Yeah, I'm just trying. No, I'm giving information. Every committee needs to have some way or another standing date, because as standing committee, I'll try to explain. Because we only have chairs, and then the way we have defined our committees is that any stakeholder who participates in a particular committee meeting that night or day, but at the meeting, is a member of the committee for that meeting, right? And we only make recommendations to the board. The Brown Act basically says that standing committees are legislative bodies. And as legislative bodies in and of themselves, there's not really a limitation on the number of board members who can attend, but they have to be standing meetings. Otherwise, if they are ad hoc committees, we also have to limit the number of board members who may be present at a given meeting. So it's kind of a catch-22. We could certainly at another meeting vote to change outreach to ad hoc. But then, Lizzie, you could not have a meeting with more than, I mean, depending on who you believe, either less than a quorum or less than half a quorum of board members. So that's the issue. For as long as we're meeting as a standing basis in legislative bodies, not that we ever really have a huge number of board members at any committee meeting, but that's the trick.
Okay, I will take it offline.
And I'm not pressuring you, Lizzie, because you can have joint meetings. It's just we need to figure this out. So let me just give you guys the calendar that we know already, as best I can. So in the first week of every month, we have planning and zoning on the first Wednesday and the governing board on the first Thursday. The second week of any given month, the first, Doreen, is this right? First Monday is your meeting? First Tuesday. What is your meeting?
Second Monday.
Second Monday. I'm sorry. The second Monday of every month is Recreation and Parks. We're trying to avoid the second Wednesday of any month because we have a multitude of neighborhood association and HPOZ meetings on that night. Would rather not conflict with our stakeholders. That week, the second Tuesday and the second Thursday are free, and every Friday is free. Every Saturday is free-ish. Third week of every month is crowded. It's the third Tuesday is Executive Committee. Third Wednesday is Planning and Zoning. Third Thursday is Communications. The fourth week of the month is fourth Tuesday is Jefferson Park Community Safety Meeting. And the fourth Thursday is a Community Impact Statement CIS Committee. And Tori had been bouncing between the third Thursday and the fourth Thursday, but she would apparently like fourth Thursday as well. So the same time, different Zoom than the CIS committee. And that was her standing meeting night. So nobody can say no. So one of the reasons we're getting another license is so we can have two committee meetings simultaneously. So anyway, so we don't need to have a full discussion. You can email me, just knowing what this grade is.
And Laura, can you also email out that schedule? Email it around?
I certainly can. Because I was going to also say first and third Tuesdays are also the Jefferson Park and the West Adams Terrace, two different meetings, HPOZ meetings. So, trying to avoid conflicting with making our stakeholders have to pick and choose among meetings if we can at all help it. But we can also do meetings at 7:30 on a night that an HPOZ meets at 5:30. It just ends up being a late night. Okay, and I will email the schedule. So, and I'm not going to bother saying who else needs to set up meetings, but I do want to say if you're an at-large member on this board, you need to participate in at least one committee. You don't have to, I mean, you're supposed to be participating in the committee, so that's another kind of job description for the at-large members. You don't need to chair one, but you need to participate.
Madam Chair, we've almost caught up.
I know. Almost caught up? I thought we were way behind.
No, we are almost caught up, so let's move on to the next item and keep it as short as possible.
Okay. Next item is community updates and reports. A is budget reps, budget advocates report, if there is one. So just by way of explanation, the bosses of the budget advocates have asked every neighborhood council to make sure we have a standing item on the agenda for a budget advocates report. Hugo, do we have a budget advocates report? Hugo. Is Hugo with us? Our budget. Hi.
Sorry, I was on the wrong window.
Yeah.
At the moment,
can say no if there's no report.
Okay, no. just to keep it brief.
Okay. So Communications Committee. I know you have a report.
Hey, yep, we have a short report. So just a few things. Some of you might remember a while ago, I sent around where we talked about doing like a board member news schedule. The idea being that we want board members on a weekly basis to write news stories that we can post on our website and social media platforms. Thanks to Hugh and Gavin who remembered what their dates were and actually submitted stories for that. Gabby and I talked about it and we want to restart this. So Gabby actually has a revised schedule that she's going to be emailing out, I think tomorrow. Basically, each board member is going to be responsible every week to write some sort of news story about something happening in the neighborhood. You can write a story, you can take a picture with a caption, you can take a video. These can be write-ups about like local business or local person, your experience in COVID, really anything. Like we really want to be in the habit of creating news stories that are really relevant to our stakeholders. We think it's important that our stakeholders hear directly from us. So this is an initiative that we're going to restart and hopefully get fully behind and have board member support from. So be on the lookout for an email from Gabby, if not tonight, then sometime tomorrow with that schedule. If you have any questions or any problems with your due date or the date you're assigned, just let us know, we can reassign it. But we'll look for everybody to be really responsible and knock out their story. Second thing up, Gabby and I are also going to create a social media calendar so that we have, 3 months out, we want to be able to plan what we're going to be posting on Facebook and Nextdoor. We also have a Twitter account, I think, that we're going to look to maybe make more active. We're talking about maybe starting an Instagram account if we have the content for it. But all this to say that we're going to have a calendar that kind of details what posts will be going up what day. And to Laura's point about the whole committee meeting schedule, we're going to dedicate the day before committee meeting, we're going to dedicate one post on our social media platforms to promoting that committee meeting so that all the committees can get some word out there about their meetings on our social media platforms. So that's coming up. At our committee meeting a few weeks ago, we talked about the UNNC mailer project. A lot of you were around when I presented it last year. Basically, we got approved funding that I think got moved over to this fiscal year to create mailers for each region that will basically, we're still fiddling with the design and the specifics of the information that'll be on these mailers, but it's basically a way to outreach to our stakeholders with something physical and tactile that gives information about people's representatives on one side, and then just more broad information about UNNC on the other side. So we're working on the design. Because of COVID, we're also looking at creating digital versions that we can push out on our social media platforms. So hopefully we'll have more to report back on that next meeting. We also talked about developing protocols and processes for board members and stakeholders to request that an item be posted to our social media handles. Right now, people are just kind of randomly emailing Gabby and myself asking us to post things, which is okay, but we think there can be a more efficient and dedicated protocol to getting that done. And the same thing for the posting of pictures and videos of events on our social media platforms and also on the UNNC website. Because I know that I've done a really bad job of getting new photos on the website. Rosie reminded me of that at our meeting. So we're gonna try to be better about that. But I think it's important to have a process and protocol in place to get that done. Last two things, Gabby had a really good idea in this COVID time to do like a virtual open house for board members. So basically some sort of Zoom setting like this where a couple board members could, whether it's by region or we haven't talked about the logistics of it all, but basically have some sort of setup where a couple board members could hang out on a Zoom and allow stakeholders to come and just like kind of hang out, like a virtual hangout session with board members, more of a social thing than a formal meeting. So we're going to continue to talk about that at our next meeting. And then lastly, something that came up at our last meeting was the question of our email addresses. So right now, our email addresses are, our official UNNC.org email addresses are firstname.lastname@unnc.org. And the question came up about as to whether email addresses should be tied to us as individuals or they should be tied to our seats. So like, should the email be, gregory.jackson@unnc.org, or should it be, Western Heights rep1@unnc.org that would then be passed down to the next reps? So I think we're instead of having a long debate about that, I think we're going to send out a survey to just kind of get, take the temperature of the board and kind of see what people feel about it. And then we can talk about it at our next board meeting. And unless Gabby has anything else, that's all we got.
Thank you, Raheem. And Gabby as well.
Okay. Nancy has her hand up, and I do want to circle back. If you think we had approved a budget item, it did not carry over, so we'd have to do it again. Because we didn't, Greg could explain it, but we did not, what's that word, encumber anything. So
Yeah, I thought I'd specifically asked about that a few meetings ago, but all good. We'll ask.
It's okay. You have to come to executive and ask for money.
Nancy, and then Lizzie also has her hand raised, and then we should move on to the next committee.
Yes. So Nancy.
Two questions. One is, where are the our write-ups going to be posted? Is it on Facebook or e-blasts? And then my second question is, Laura, you had sent me an email that we have limited, we can only send the e-blast a certain amount of times per week or per month or something?
Per day, I think, right?
Well, with the number of email addresses we have right now, we are able, because we can't do it every day. I mean, we are unable to do it every day. Nobody has the energy. So it's limited to once every 24 hours, because we can't do more than 2,000 people in 24 hours, and we have 1,200 or 1,300. And it's also limited in the month to a total number, but we're not hitting it so far. If we get real successful and suddenly have 5,000 emails instead of 1,300, we would have a problem with our current level of MailChimp, and we'd have to pay. Right now we're in free MailChimp. So, we're not in danger of hitting too many emails, but if you guys are really successful, if we're all really successful in finding more stuff to write about and want to send out more emails, we would be in danger of doing it too many times in a month.
These would be, Nancy, to your question, these would be posted on our website, so we wouldn't necessarily use up too many emails, but we can talk a little bit more offline if you have any other ideas about how to distribute the news articles.
Right. Lizzie.
Yes, so this is regarding outreach. Is it okay if I?
Oh, well, can we finish on communications?
Sure.
Right, because are there any other hands up? Because I have my hand up.
All clear.
Okay, so Raheem and Gabby, the only other thing is, I don't know, I mean, I mentioned this to Raheem before. As you know, we had to cancel the Walk on Washington. And one of my thoughts is how do we help our small businesses, not just on Washington? And is there any way, and just to take back to committee, is there any way to develop something kind of like the West Side Neighborhood Council did, where they went from Pick Pico, which is an event like Walk on Washington, to Click Pico, which is now through their website, or I think it's a sub website, they're helping support all of the businesses in their area. So, one of our, if you look at the bylaws, one of the things UNNC has as a objective or goal or strategy is support the commercial, revitalization of our commercial corridors. So just something to think about. I mean, yet another way to spend money, presumably, but it's not just that we should be communicating about ourselves, I think, but communicating about our community if that's at all possible.
Yeah, that's a
Madam.
good idea, Laura. We can certainly explore that at our next committee meeting.
Madam Chair, we are now 17 minutes behind. If we can move to the next committee.
Yes, Lizzie.
Yes, so I did find, and I've been distributing these, our old vintage bag, canvas bag, to some of the newer board members, but I did find another, a small box with more in my garage, because I think at some of the outreach events, I was probably in charge, and I brought it home, and it was buried in my garage. So I have these. If any of you board members want one, please email me and with your address, and I'll drop it off at your porch, so contactless. And please use this when you go shopping. I saw several of our stakeholders taking this to our markets. So, and I see them. So please use them, because right now this is pretty much the only outreach we can do. Magnets. I also have some of these. So again, if you want them, send me an email. I will drop them off. So
Are those the postcards, or are they the refrigerator magnets?
Magnets.
Refrigerator.
Yes. Some of it might be outdated. I don't know, but 311 is there. So, and I have a few. So,
right.
Please.
So
we need to use what we have.
Right.
Yeah.
So the bags are great, you guys. There's a lot of places that won't let you bring in your personal bags at the moment to pack up, but the farmers markets still do. And I just learned that Sprouts, the grocery store on La Brea and San Vicente, encourage you still to bring your own bag, because they don't pack your bags. They don't fill the bags of grocery anyway, so that you can bring your own. So so it promotes UNNC. So take Lizzie up on her offer if you don't have a bag.
Yes, please, by all means.
Next
Any other
committee update.
Jeff? Any other committee reports?
Yeah, I'll give a brief one. This is Tori. It was one statement. Pretty much, I've been in touch with a couple of the agencies to assist with housing for our current number of homelessness, to minimize it. And that's been 2-3 houses that they have created new, that has about 30, about 50, 60 new beds. So I've been getting calls from the people in the community that I reached out to that are homeless, and they've been calling. And whenever they call, I just send them addresses to where new units have opened up, and they are so grateful. So they have to apply and do everything that you need to do to get into them, and they take it from there and report back to me. So that's what I've done the last week or so.
Good work, Tori.
Okay.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori.
Thank you, Paula. Well, we're gonna have to. Oh, and then I put the scheduled meeting on Laura's calendar, so she'll set up a Zoom for us for this month.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I did. I got that.
Okay. Thank you.
It's just we better have a second Zoom license.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess.
No, we can. It's gonna work out. Don't worry, Tori. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Be flexible.
And are there any other committee reports?
Rec and Parks.
Rec and Parks.
We had our first Rec and Parks meeting. 6 people showed up. Thank you all 6 people. Just basically brainstorming what people want out of the committee. The next meeting will be October, the second Monday in October. I think it's the 12th. At that meeting, we will finalize our mission statement and our goals, and take up any park and rec and park related issues in the community. That's about it. Thank you.
Okay, any other committee reports? Okay, so I'm giving you guys a warning. We're not quite at losing quorum. We have 15 board members left, but we need to rush through the rest of this agenda. But I think we can. Greg, I've made you a co-host for your treasurer's report. I assume you want to share the monthly expenditure report?
Yes.
Greg, are you all right with 10 minutes for this segment?
I can do it in 2.
You got it. I'll set you up for 7.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is our expenditure report for July. You will notice that in July we spent $0.
Well, that'll be easy to approve, won't it?
Come on, you're taking up my time here. So I recommend approval of the July monthly expenditure report. I can go over it in detail, but I don't think it's necessary. Just for your visual pleasure, here it is.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the July monthly expenditure report.
Is Greg?
I'll second that.
Dorit, did you second?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's vote.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, everybody unmute yourself, please. Asai.
There you go. I could finally unmute. Yes.
Okay, Dorit.
Yes.
Gavin is absent. John.
Sorry, I mean yo.
Oh, please, God. Yes, please, God. Okay. John.
Yep.
Carlos is absent. Tori.
Yes.
Gabby is now absent. Jorge is absent. I'm a yes. Hugo.
I'm a yes.
Paula.
Yes.
Raheem.
I'm a yes.
Isaac is now absent. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Marielle. Marielle, you're muted. Are you a yes?
Yeah, I was unmuted and now.
Okay. Hugh.
Yes.
Cordell.
Yes.
Michael is absent. Chris is absent. Greg.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Janie. Is Janie still here?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, and Lizzie.
Yes.
And Najee is absent. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 yeses, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That can't be right. And the rest of them were absent. I didn't mark this correctly. So sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess that's right. 8 absent. Okay.
Laura, you did not ask me, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, you did not ask me my vote.
I don't think you get to vote.
Well, my answer would have been no ho.
Oh. Okay.
Everybody ready to go to sleep now.
Next item. Yes.
Yeah, Jeff, I thought you said don't take time.
Next item.
That was 2 seconds.
Yeah, Greg, we're ready for your budget updates,
Okay.
reimbursements, budget adjustments. We did vote for the one budget adjustment.
Okay. All right, so this is, I'm gonna call this the operational budget. I want to point your attention to the tannish, whatever color, the orange and whatever color this is. This is the money we have on our clean streets, and this is our encumbered funds. In order to when we submitted the budget, which has been approved, I had to put money somewhere on a line. So I put money on the office equipment supplies, That's just a placeholder for it. Raheem, you're concerned about having money for the flyers and bulletins and things like that. We have plenty of money for that, for those items. We just talked about some things in the budget tonight. I will make adjustments, spend those money, allocate those funds. But yeah, we're good. We spent, I think some money was spent on a credit card in August for $11 and something cent.
Yeah, it looks like some money was spent on Facebook.
Yeah.
And Raheem or Nancy, is that for the candidates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but that will be.
I need the receipt. I need the actual receipt. So.
Yeah. So that will come out in August. But our budget is good. We can mold it, shape it any way we want. There's plenty of funds for what we wish to do. Questions, concerns? Yes. Raheem is wiggling his finger. That means no or yes?
I see a hand up from Nancy,
Okay, I'm gonna stop
although it
sharing.
went away.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Yeah, it was a mistake.
Okay.
Does Raheem have a question, concern? Okay, good. All right, so I'm done.
Okay, and I don't think, there's no action required, right? 'Cause
No action required.
the only action we already took.
Right, and there's some things that I'm still working with the city on getting information on. We talked about the Ann's contract being submitted, but we are good. Please, someone come up with a reason to spend some money.
Okie doke.
Thank you, Gregory.
I'm sharing the screen again. And we're moving on to President's Report, and I'm sharing the screen again. So item 12A, request support for a resolution from the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition. It's a request, they have voted to request that the City Council create a council file actually to provide transparency for the reallocated $150 million that was defunded from the LA Police Department. The coalition wants the process to be transparent and for the neighborhood councils that represent areas of the city that are underrepresented and areas with people of color, that they be afforded the opportunity to weigh in on where the funds are allocated and how they are spent for the benefit of the community or communities that are underserved. Essentially, all neighborhood council presidents and chairs were asked to put this on their agendas if they would be so kind. And it's a request simply to create a council file so that then neighborhood councils could file community impact statements. So it is that simple. I don't know if you guys support this idea. And it's, I mean, I can make the motion, but I don't know if there's a second if I make the motion.
I'll make the motion, Sister Reed.
Second, Nancy seconds.
Okay, Doreen moves and Nancy seconds. And is there discussion? Do I need to keep this up on the screen or can I drop it down and put it into the chat?
Drop it.
Okay.
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to put the same language into the chat. So are there any discussion, questions, anything at all? Okay, well, here it is in chat. Moved by Nancy. Nope, second by Dorit. Second by Nancy. Okay. Hearing nothing, seeing nothing. Jeff, do you see any hands? No.
No hands.
So we'll take a vote. This is item 12A. I posted the content to the chat. Please unmute yourselves. Asai.
Yo.
Okay. Dorit.
Yep.
Gavin is absent. John.
Yep.
Carlos is absent. Tori.
Yes.
Gabby is absent. Jorge is absent. Laura is a yes. Hugo.
I'm gonna say C.
Let's see.
C. Okay. Paula.
C.
Okay. Raheem.
C.
Isaac is now absent. Marielle.
B.
Hugh. Is Hugh?
Yes.
Okay. Cordell.
Yes.
Michael's absent. Chris is absent. Gray.
Hi, Dozo.
Nancy.
Yes.
Janie.
Yes.
Lizzie. Is Lizzie a yes? A C? A we? A ya?
Okay, that's C and yes.
Okay. And Najee is absent. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, of which 5 are C's. Anyway, yeses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 absent. Okay. The next item on the agenda, we don't have a resolution to approve, so I'm just going to go back to it and then suggest if we, the action that would be, the only action we could actually take besides saying no would be to refer this to the executive committee and then to bring it back to the board. So I did not write the resolution yet, but what this is about, over the last several years, we keep approving with conditions, saying we like this development, but if you do this, if we like this development, but will you do that? So we have approved and then requested with no response a whole bunch of things. A stoplight at Western and 24th, which would service not just the new development, the hotel rehabilitation as housing and commercial use, but also the school is a mess, you know, the traffic there, to allow people to get to go east on 24th and then turn at a stoplight north towards the freeway instead of driving through the neighborhood. A stoplight at Adams and Montclair because there have been so many traffic accidents and several deaths, unfortunately. Angled parking on the north side of Washington between Gramercy and Cimarron. That relates to the new big development under construction. We thought we would add some street parking to help relieve either for neighbors or even for Grace Conservatory to give some parking on Washington. Similarly, angled parking on the 4th Avenue south of Washington to the alley on the east side of the street. This relates to the new project not yet under construction on the former oil drilling site at 4th and Washington to, again, give the neighbors some additional parking. And last but not least, a no parking zone during morning rush hour on the north side of Venice between 6th Avenue going west. It's really just 3 parking spaces to the curve, but it's to help as parents when they go back to school next year after the pandemic, be able to be in a drop-off lane that doesn't impede traffic on Venice Boulevard. So all of these we've asked for, none of them have been responded to. So I am wondering if we should do a single letter of resolution and pass it next month and try and get the city to respond. So that's what that's about. This can just be discussion. And do you need me to leave that up or can I stop the share?
Stop the share.
Take it down.
Okey doke. Stopping the share.
When you, Laura, Madam President, when you say nothing has been done, are there any records of discussion of those items at any level above us?
Yeah, I didn't hear that last bit.
Is there a record of any discussion above our level on any of those items?
Not to my knowledge. Jeff, has it even been discussed at CD10 with any real enthusiasm? If you
Some
know?
of the items, the one that came to mind was the click and the Venice curve issue. That's in current discussion that I'm aware of.
Right. Well, I know that I actually know that Shaul Kuba from CIM has also been requesting the stoplights at 24th and Western, at Montclair and Adams, and then another one farther west of us, and he's gotten no response. So the problem is that on the one hand, there's a whole effort that was funded or is funded to do these traffic safety improvements, which doesn't have anything to do with the angled parking, but the other things. And on the other hand, they're not listening to our requests. They see what they're doing seems to be coming from their own DOT and wherever, out of their own internal staff meetings and not in conjunction with us. So I just feel like it's time to take another step. I see Paula's hand and then Dorit's hand.
These are very valid requests. I'm especially thinking about that corner of Adams and Montclair. I didn't realize there were a lot of accidents, but I can see how that happens. And so your recommendation is that that we send this to executive, you write a letter including it all, or?
Well, a resolution is a particular thing. So it's a letter, but it's a whereas this, whereas that.
Oh, gotcha.
So, right, with, there's way. So therefore, we move. I didn't want to take the time to write a 2 or 3 page resolution without knowing that the board supported it. So my recommendation now would be that I write, if we like it, I write it and take it to exec, and then the executive brings it back to the board.
Well, I agree with that.
Dorit?
I was going to say the same thing. I think that's 9:30 p.m. and we don't have time to craft something brilliant right now. So I do think it should go to executive committee. Executive committee crafts something brilliant. We vote on it next month, and we send it to the powers that be, and they listen to us.
Right. It'd be ideal if they listen to us. Yeah, no, we cannot pass a resolution that is not printed on the agenda, or at least in the agenda packet. So it's not written. We can't pass it as a resolution tonight. I will tell you, it's of interest. The person who kind of is paying attention to all the accidents at Adams and Montclair is Rena Rubenstein, who lives on 13th near Adams. And she accidentally went down a historic research rabbit hole, chasing some other story, as it were, some other historic research, but discovered that even 100 years ago, there were multiple accidents right there and many fatalities. It's something about coming down that hill and it's kind of blind. Right. So even 100 years ago, people died at that very same location. So
at a much lower speed.
Right. So, okay. Well, we don't need to take any action. I've got a sense that this is something that is okay to pursue, and thus I will, and I'll take it to exec.
Madam Chair, may I interrupt for just a moment?
Yes. Are you interrupting adjournment?
I am just going to point out that I'm gladly handing the adjournment over to you. 6 minutes over the meeting time. So congratulations to everyone.
That's good.
Well, so before we adjourn, was it useful to have the motions already on the agenda?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, So we'll try to do that as we go along.
Okay, 7 minutes. Now we're
All right. That's fine.
Good job.
If you guys want to adjourn, I mean, this is Zoom. You know how it gets adjourned?
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Okay.
Make a motion we adjourn.
I second that.
I third it, I fourth it.
I've got to go pee. I'm
Good night,
logging off.
everyone.
Good night.
Everyone.
Good night.
Bye. Appreciate you.
Good night.
Appreciate
Okay,
you
I'm
guys.
adjourning at 9:42. If you guys want to save the chat, don't forget to click on the little 3 dots to save the chat. If you want it.
Bye, guys. Bye. Good night.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Night.
Thank you, Laura.
Good night.
Good night.
Adios.
Where's Lizzie? Lizzie,
Yes.
I'll take one of the bags after you give all the new people one.
Send me your address, Tori.
Oh, okay. Either way.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, Tori.
Bye, Laura. Thank you.
You are welcome, and thank you. Oh, and you got my email about you're running for an office. I think is a great office.
Yes, thank you for that. I was gonna ask you, is there any way, how does that work with UNNC agree, or
I don't know.
I'll call you this week and see.
Yeah, no, I don't know about UNNC. I'm just saying he wasn't really a relative, but it felt like it was Art Bronson. I knew him, I grew up knowing this man, and he just became a really good member of that board of trustees. I mean, he wasn't just, somebody who was passing through, right? He was very devoted to it. So anyway, I gotta go.
Okay, well, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.